sport of football has the potential to be both thrilling and hazardous. The risks associated with the game are real, despite the fact that players are prepared to handle physical difficulties on the pitch. In reality, both on and off the pitch, there have been numerous situations in which football players have come dangerously close to death. Can football games be so dangerous that they can cause near-death experiences? Has anyone died during a football match? You will be shocked by the number. A study tracked global deaths from 2014 to 2018 that were attributed to sudden cardiac arrest or other unexpected deaths while participating in or immediately following football. Over the course of 5 years, there were 617 cases. But in this video, we'll examine some of the most prominent instances of football players who have experienced near-death encounters. We will examine the different occurrences that have rocked the football world and served as a reminder of the frailty of life. From Petersek's skull fracture to Chapecoense's devastating plane accident. Join us as we delve into the world of narrow-death experiences by football players and examine the human side of this beloved sport. Petersek. To those who have watched Petersek play, you must have noticed the head guard he uses for every match. Wonder why he uses it. In October 2006, Petersek, the former goalkeeper of Chelsea and the Czech Republic national team, suffered a life-threatening injury during a Premier League match against Reading. Sech collided with Stephen Hunt of Reading, and the force of the impact fractured his skull severely. Sech required urgent surgery to fix the fracture after being brought to the hospital right away. He was in the hospital for a few days, and it wasn't certain whether he would be able to recover fully. The tragedy stunned the football community, and calls for more measures to safeguard players from head injuries arose. Sech personally advocated for increased player safety and stressed the necessity of treating brain injuries properly. Despite the seriousness of his injuries, Sech achieved an incredible recovery and made a quick return to the field 3 months later while using a protective helmet that was especially built for him. He continued to compete at the highest level for many years, acquiring a reputation as one of the best goalkeepers of his generation while winning multiple trophies with Chelsea. Fernando Torres. On May 20, 2019, Fernando Torres, a former striker for Liverpool and Chelsea, passed out on the field during a J-League game between Sagan Tosu and Gamba Osaka. When Torres was chasing down a ball towards the midway point of the game, the event happened in the 40th minute. Without making contact with any other player, he dropped to the ground abruptly. Torres was found unresponsive on the ground and was immediately attended to by medical personnel. Before going unconscious, he was spotted clutching his head in discomfort. His rivals and teammates swarmed around him, showing obvious concern. The match was promptly stopped, and Torres was stretchered off the field and brought to the hospital for treatment. According to the early accounts, he was awake and conscious throughout the ambulance ride. Torres collided with Shinya Suginuma, a defender for Gamba Osaka, earlier in the game, causing a mild traumatic brain injury that was later determined to be the cause. Torres played on despite being hurt before passing out a little while later. A few days after obtaining medical care, Torres was released from the hospital. Later, he thanked his followers and everyone else for their support throughout his rehabilitation on Twitter. Erik Lamela. Football player Erik Lamela, an Argentine who presently represents Sevilla FC in Spain, was abducted in a frightening event in 2010. When the incident happened, Lamella was representing the home team River Plate in Buenos Aires. A gang of armed guys approached Lamella as he was leaving the practice area and forced him into a van. He was blindfolded and taken to an unidentified place where he was imprisoned for several hours. Lamella was threatened with violence while he was being held captive, and he asked his family for a ransom. Several phone calls were placed to Lamella's family by the kidnappers, but no deals were reached. Thankfully, Lamella was finally freed without incident, and he rejoined his family and team. Lamella underwent a horrific experience as a result of the tragedy, which had a significant effect on his life and career. He later admitted that the encounter had caused him to experience anxiety and sadness, and that he had to seek professional assistance to deal with the psychological aftereffects. Lamella played football at a high level despite the trauma he went through, and in 2013 he joined Tottenham Hotspur. He has established himself as a major member of the squad and is renowned for his outstanding abilities and work ethic on the field. The event also sparked worries about football players' safety in Argentina and a requirement for improved security measures to shield them from potential threats. It serves as a reminder of the dangers that athletes encounter both on and off the pitch, as well as the significance of taking precautions to protect their safety. Fabrice Muamba. Fabrice Muamba, a former professional footballer for Bolton Wanderers, collapsed on the pitch during a match against Tottenham Hotspur on March 17, 2012, due to a sudden cardiac arrest. Muamba was just 23 years old at the time. The incident stunned the football world, and it became evident right away that Muamba was in serious trouble. In a hurry, medical personnel performed CPR on him and shocked his heart with a defibrillator to restore normal rhythm. After that, Muamba was taken urgently to a local hospital where he received more care. Muamba was initially in severe condition and put into a medically induced coma. He did, however, finally come to and was able to communicate with his family and the medical professionals. He had a heart arrest as a result of an undiagnosed genetic disease. It was subsequently discovered. The incident served as a wake-up call for the football community and intensified scrutiny of professional athletes' health and safety. New rules were introduced to help identify and manage athletes at risk of heart problems after the Football Association and the Premier League initiated an investigation into cardiac arrest incidences in football. Muamba took up the cause of heart health and sought to spread the word about the value of cardiac screening in athletics. He founded the Fabrice Muamba Foundation to fund cardiac research and education, and he has been actively involved in many efforts to advance heart health. Survivors of Chapecoense plane accident. 71 of the 77 persons on board a plane transporting the Chapecoense football team perished after it crashed into a mountainside in Colombia on November 28, 2016. The team, which was headquartered in Chapeco, Brazil, was traveling to Medellin to compete in the Copa Sudamericana final, a significant South American football competition. Despite being a relatively tiny club, Chapecoense has recently enjoyed a spectacular run of success, moving up from Brazil's 4th division to play at the top tiers of South American football. Fans from all around the world have been following and admiring the squad due to its success. Therefore, the tragic accident shocked the entire football world. Inadequate fuel reserves, pilot error, and a failure by air traffic controllers to understand and react to the gravity of the situation were all found to be contributing factors to the catastrophe. In particular, for professional athletes, the incident generated severe concerns about the safety and regulation of air travel. Following the incident, the football world came together to support Chapecoense, sending their sympathies and support to the team and their families. In memory of the team, numerous clubs and organizations around the world staged fundraisers, and the Brazilian government observed 3 days of silence. There were just 6 people who survived the tragedy: 3 players, 2 crew members, and 1 journalist. The survivors had a protracted and challenging path to recovery, both mentally and physically. Together with their own wounds and suffering from the disaster, they also had to deal with the loss of their friends, coaches, and teammates. Jackson Fallman, the goalkeeper who was one of the survivors, required a limb amputation because of the injuries he incurred in the collision. Although he had a protracted and painful healing process, he was adamant about moving forward with his life and his work. Fallman afterwards worked as a motivational speaker, a Chapecoense ambassador, and even made a comeback to the field to take part in a charity game. Defender Nato, another survivor, was hurt internally and sustained several fractures. After multiple operations and a protracted recovery process, he eventually joined the Chapecoense club and participated in a game against Barcelona in August 2017. Because of his incredible perseverance and recovery, Nato has been praised as a hero and a beacon of hope. Midfielder Alan Russell, the third survivor, sustained fractures to his back and chest in addition to suffering serious emotional stress as a result of losing his friends. After a protracted and challenging recuperation period, he eventually made it out onto the field to participate in a friendly game against AS Roma in January 2018. In addition, Russell actively promotes the value of mental health and well-being for athletes and their families. So have you or your close ones ever experienced a near-death situation? And what all measures do you think football can bring up to protect the players from horrific injuries? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.